Hey, Rick, we had Don Harrington on. He was a fantastic guest. What did you pull out of that?
Well, first, he's 30 years in the business.
Yes.
So he has tremendous knowledge about the business. But he's really, it's beyond that. He's a really good person.
Mm-hmm.
And he has with all the knowledge he understands how to take care of customers, how to do business, and then how to balance his business and his personal life.
Yes. One other thing you did forget is he knows one of the best beaches in the world is. So if you're wanting to find out, definitely tune in to the full show.
Yes, and he also knew his phone number, which I didn't. So
well, that's nothing new.
Welcome to Indy's Real Estate Gurus, your ultimate guide to the dynamic world of real estate in Indiana. And I'm Rick Ripma, your hardworking mortgage guy, and I've been in real estate and mortgages for over 24 years.
And I'm Ian Arnold, a loan officer on Rick's hardworking mortgage team, and we are both with Advisors Mortgage Group. Together, we'll empower you with expert advice, market trends, and successful stories from guru realtors and local experts.
Whether you're a homeowner, investor, or pro, join us as we navigate the thriving Indy real estate market.
Now get ready to unlock the doors of success, one episode at a time.
Well, today we have Don Harrington. Don is a FC Tucker agent. He's a guru, and you do phenomenally well. You've been in the business for a long time.
30 years in April.
30 years in April. So you may not even remember this first question, but what did you do? Like, where'd you grow up? What did you do before real estate?
Okay.
What was your life like?
Yeah. I've been in Indiana all my life. I was born up in Valparaiso. Valparaiso, yep. And grew up and then in Hebron, which is actually south of Valparaiso. And then came down earlier in my life to the east side, went to school then on the near south side at IPS schools, and then eventually ended up in the Perry Township area and graduated from Perry Marine High School down there. And I got into sales. Well, I was a paper boy, so I really got into sales when I was like 14 years old. And that was fun. If only I would have known how to spend money as far as making money too, but I didn't figure that out until later. But so I was in sales being a paper boy, and then as soon as I graduated high school, I started at a shoe store called Tom McCann over Washington Square. Yeah, yep. So they were very well known, and so I enjoyed working over at Washington Square and selling shoes. And I tell people that I learned everything I needed to know about sales from selling shoes. I had a great manager, and he taught me just about features and benefits and how to present people with the item they have and what it does for them. So, and then, gosh, I've done so many things. And my wife, we've been married for 12 years, and she will hear about something that I did for a job, and you're like going, it never stops. So I have just done so many different things and tried different things. And so some of them were sales, some of them were not. And so, but I enjoyed it. And then, did I answer your question?
Yeah. And what did you want to do when you were a kid? Like what was your dream job when you were a young kid?
Yeah. It's funny because I always had trouble answering that question because my life was kind of chaotic. And so I never felt like I could dream really. So, but I always pictured being a firefighter, like a typical boy would. Yeah. That was one of those that seemed very interesting to me. Yeah.
Ian said he wanted to be a TikTok dancer.
Yes, even before TikTok came out.
He wanted to be a TikTok dancer. So we got to really encourage him to be a TikTok dancer, don't you think?
Okay, I'll film you today.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah.
We got.
There's a movie called White Men Can't Jump. Well, there's also one called White Men Can't Dance, and that's me.
So surely you can do that, the floss or something like that, right?
No,
that's coordination too, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So how did you? What drove you into real estate? You did all these other jobs, which I'm sure gave you a lot of the ability to be a great agent like you are. So, but what was it? What was the motivating factor to get into real estate?
Yeah, I really kind of stumbled in it accidentally. I wanted to just do property management or rental properties. Really, flipping wasn't that big of a thing back then.
Right.
And so that's the reason I got into it. And it wasn't long from starting real estate that I found out that I loved it. because I enjoy people and being with people, but I also like just helping people, serving people. And so it just was this beautiful fit for me. And so I was successful pretty much from day one. I did all the things you needed to do to start business, and just it kept rolling and rolling and rolling. And it's been that way. I mean, I've survived the crash of 08, 09, and yeah. So
yeah. So you did everything. I want to key on that. You did everything you needed to do to get going, and it's a hard industry to get going in. And I think 30 years ago it was actually a little harder than today, because there were no teams for the most part. You didn't have people helping you. So what did you do? What processes did you do? What were the things that you did that got your business off the ground?
Yeah, what's interesting is, and maybe by not having people tell me what to do, I started figuring out things like, if I had a listing and I sold that listing, it just made sense to me that I would go ahead and call that buyer's mortgage guy to check up on him, make sure this pre-qualification was good, to ask some questions, and then through the process I still followed up with them, and so I was doing things that I just didn't assume that the buyer's agent was doing their job. Okay. I just made sure every piece was always moving along. So no matter what side I was on. And so I think that looking for that kind of, I guess, details kind of helped me to make sure that deals got closed. And I think that was, if I think back to real estate and what I did back then, I did the open houses that I needed to do and following up with the people, but establishing rapport with people and really getting to know what their needs were. I think some of those things, just listening to people, really helped me.
Yeah. So I always like to ask this question, especially people who've been in the industry for a while. So what has changed from the time you started and to now in real estate?
Wow. That's huge because, first of all, cell phones were just coming into the scene. So matter of fact, my board had just got the first computer up. So it was called Boris, and it was like a very digitized format to search for homes. There was no pictures, because they still had, when I was in the business, the book. So to look at houses, you had to go to the broker and look through the book, which was come out every 2 weeks. And it was the size of people probably don't know what phone books are, but it was size of 2 phone books pretty much. It didn't have, lock boxes were just coming into play. So you would have to sometimes still go to the broker's office that had a listing, get the key from them, go show the house, and then take the key back to them. So man, there's so much, you only had a fax machine. You really didn't have things being emailed, and scanning was not around. So there's a lot of things have changed. DocuSign. I think now things like DocuSign or Dotloop, where you could have somebody sign something and never have to ever be with them. They could be in another state, where, back then you had to handwrite contracts, and you had to physically go to them and have them sign stuff. And so, a lot.
Yeah, I think like you said, DocuSign, I think that's probably been the hugest one, especially in our industry, is, hey, you go on vacation. Hey, I need to send out this disclosure. Or I need to send out this sales contract. You can easily do it. Never leave the beach.
Yes.
And then go and be done with it within 30 minutes, if that.
That's right. Yep. I've sold a house while I'm in Florida. I sold a house, had both sides of it, the transaction, while I was on a mission trip in the Dominican a year ago. So, things like that are just, crazy. What you can do now.
All right. So what do you love most about being a realtor? You've been doing it for 30 years. So
I hate it, really. I just don't like it. I would, what? It's helping people. I am blessed with an opportunity to deal with and help them with one of the biggest transactions of their life. And so to take that seriously and then to help them through that, I had a young couple towards the end of last year that, while we were working on looking at houses, she was pregnant. Then we had to stop for a little bit because she had the baby, and then we got to find a house for them, and so they got to start their new life with this baby in a new house. And so times like that are just, money. It's above money, So I don't ever work It's funny. I don't ever even look to see what I'm getting paid on something until it's time for closing. I have to look at the closing statement and make sure it's right, because money is like secondary to helping people.
That story was basically my wife and I. Like literally, we put an offer on a house. She goes into labor. We're at the hospital, and I had the inspection that next morning. So literally, while she's in the hospital, I tell her parents, I'm like, you stay with her. I gotta go with the inspector to look at this house.
Yeah.
And it was like, so when you're telling me that, I'm like, all I can see is mine.
Yes.
I don't recommend it because your wife cannot help you move stuff when you're moving at that time when you have a baby.
So you're put in the wrong place with your son.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But being a part of people's lives, because that's life, right? And so to be part of that, it's just amazing to me.
Yeah. And it's stressful to have a baby, and it can be stressful to buy a house.
I haven't had one, but I hear that it is.
Yeah. I've had 3, and they're old now, so I don't remember as well as I used to. But it seems like it was pretty stressful, especially that first one was pretty stressful.
It is. Yeah. Matter of fact, my firstborn was Hancock Memorial, and I remember that day. It was, it was crazy outside weather-wise, and I was driving her from Southside to Hancock County, the Memorial Hospital. And I remember being on the highway with her in the back seat, holding her hand, and she was talking about being careful driving. And she didn't know if I was driving 90 miles an hour, because I did not want to deliver this baby. So I'm on the highway, heading out there. So yes, it is stressful.
Yeah. Well, driving 90 miles an hour, holding on somebody's hand and making sure you don't hit anything, that's stressful. Because if you hit anything, you will be delivering.
I will be. That's right. That's right.
And it doesn't. None of us want to do that if we can avoid it.
No.
Those are the horror stories we hear. So what would you say your superpower or superpowers are?
I would say listening, the joyful side of things. I always have a great attitude. I see problems with finding solutions for them. I pretty much can think anything can be figured out. So I'm like, give me the pieces of the puzzle and I'll put the puzzle together.
Yep.
There's something about how I talk to people that is trustworthy. And so they feel like they can talk to me. I've had people share something with me that they finish it up by saying, I've never told anybody about that. And I'm like, wow, thanks. But there's something about that. And that people want to be with me, feel comfortable around me. Yeah.
Because if they won't tell you everything, you can't do your job.
Oh yeah, correct.
It's really important that somebody feels comfortable with you enough to tell you everything, because even little details matter.
Yeah.
Their little likes or little dislikes make a difference.
Yeah. I always tell people, I said, you find out what they like as far as looking for in a home. Of course, everybody wants whatever the HGD TV shows have talked about or whatever. But you get into a house and in reality, and you start talking to them about the house, and you listen to them, and you find out what's important. So I get to be with them, and that first time in a house with a buyer usually tells me everything I need to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense, because they're in the house now. They're pointing out what they like, don't like, that type of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm sure they talk about the neighborhood, the area, all that. Or most people figure that out.
They figure that out on their own. Yeah. I'll usually let them kind of figure and deal with that part of it. If there's something outside like that looks like it might be a detriment or something like that, I'll point that out. But yeah, it's just that interaction with them that we have a good experience, and I learn a lot.
Yeah. It's interesting to me that when I sold new homes for the builder, I remember distinctly I had a real estate agent come in with their client, and we had a lot. It was a corner lot. And the agent said, "Oh, you don't want a corner lot. Nobody wants corner lots. You just don't want that." Okay. So they said, okay. 10 minutes after they left, another customer came in with their real estate agent. The agent goes, "Oh, they have a corner lot. That's the best lot in the neighborhood." It's so funny how the experiences we had can taint us to what it is. And the reality is, and both those agents were fairly young, inexperienced, not really young necessarily, but inexperienced. And I learned that what I think doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Well, and that kind of goes back to what I said earlier about the pros and cons, the features, the benefits. And so there's pros about a corner lot, and there's cons about a corner lot. And so my job is to point out both of those, and then let them make the decision. Right?
Yeah.
I'm the educator, and they make the final decision.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. I live on a cul-de-sac, and I'm at the end of the cul-de-sac, and that's because that's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I sold new houses, and I knew enough about what I wanted. Right? So that's what I ended up with, but everybody's different, and we have people who love the corner lots. We have people who love, on the main drag. We don't have a big neighborhood, but they like being. I mean, everybody's different, and they all the houses sell. That's the other thing I learned selling new homes. All houses sell eventually.
Yes, yes, they do. There's someone for every lot, right?
There is.
Yeah.
Someone for every lot, every house.
Yep.
Everything sells eventually.
Absolutely.
So you have to find the one that works for you.
Yeah.
Is right for you.
Yeah. Just painting a good, realistic expectation for people, I think helps it out, because sometimes they come into a transaction having never bought a home before, and they have this maybe unrealistic expectation. And so if you can lower those in the sense of just making it more reasonable. I don't ask them what's your dream home look like. I ask them, what are the basics that you need in a home? If you have that baseline to work from, you have a lot easier chance of finding exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, their hierarchy of needs.
Absolutely.
Is what we call
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And would you say you're the best person to find somebody a house?
Absolutely. 100%.
All right. So if you're the best person to find somebody a house, what would be the best way they can get in contact with you to find that perfect house?
I'm glad you asked that question, Ian. My phone number, 317-590-7944. And I'm at don@donsoldme.com.
Whoa. What was that email again? Because that was hard.
I know, it's tough, isn't it? don@donsoldme.com.
Can't get easier than that.
No, you can't get easier than that. But they can also get a hold of us at hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. Or you can give us a call at
317-672.
Oh, it is 672. 317-672-1938. I knew I was going to do that. I kept thinking, I like to take them as my own cell number. 317-672-1938. I don't mind giving my cell number out, but Ian doesn't like it when I do that.
No.
Yeah.
He wants calls too.
See, I remember things, so people want to talk to me.
I remember a lot.
The important things?
Yeah, exactly. I remember the important things.
All right.
Apparently my number's not important.
Yeah, I guess not.
All right, Don. So we're going to take a sidestep from real estate.
Okay.
Let's get to know you more.
Okay.
So if I take away your phone, you cannot work whatsoever. What do we catch you doing for fun for 24 hours?
I probably would be on the beach. Probably one of the places my wife and I go where we can get away. And just to be able to leave my phone up in my condo and to be able to enjoy time on the beach. And if I had 24 hours to do that, I would be in heaven. Yeah. And yeah.
What beach do you find your favorite?
Yeah, it's I'm afraid to say it because most people don't know where it's at, and they might be more people going down there. But there's actually on the Panhandle of Florida is a place called Navarre Beach.
Yes, just so you know, I grew up about 30 minutes from Pensacola.
Oh, okay.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. White sand. It's beautiful.
You're not helping him here.
Yeah, I know, right? It is,
nobody still goes there. I still preach it and nobody goes. Yeah. Everybody thinks Miami's the best beach.
Or they go to Destin, something like that. Yeah.
Sarasota.
So, yeah. There's no commercialism there. It's just one bridge going over there. And the only other way you can get to it from Pensacola Beach, driving down the coastline.
And they go over the other bridge.
Yes. But it's a beautiful place. So we've been going there for 12 years now. So.
It's actually, and when you do research, Pensacola and / Navarre is one of the best beaches because it has that white sand. There's hardly any shells that you're stepping on as you're going through there. But like you said, it's nice.
And it's like a 20-minute drive to Destin to have all the dinners and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a little piece of heaven actually. Beautiful boardwalk also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep selling it.
I know. Daggone it. You edit that out.
But the best time to go is during July. Go during July.
Yeah. I won't tell you when I usually go. So.
We used to do Florida a lot. We did it this year again, but we always went to Fort Myers Beach, and we'd go in July. We go in when kids were off school in late March, early April. But then we went July 4th one time. It was one of the best vacations we ever had because on the beach, it wasn't that hot. Now you got outside of the beach, it was terrible.
Yeah.
But, and probably the only other thing that was not very good, you're probably much more familiar with this, Ian, is the water was like bath water. It was.
Oh, it can get warm
July,
at times.
Yeah, the Gulf.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
I much preferred the pool at that point.
Yeah. The time of year we go, it's still comfortable to get in. It feels good. It's warm. What's nice about the Panhandle is because it's a little bit north, it is have a little bit cooler. So.
Yeah. Plus, it's not as far to drive if you're driving.
Oh, yeah. It's
a lot easier.
12 and a half. You can be there. Yeah.
Yeah. That you can't get. We went to, I can't remember what the name. See, this is what you do to me. Man, I can't remember. My sister used to live there. It was on the other side. It was on, on the other side, not too far from Orlando. And I mean, it was like an 17-hour drive. It was a long drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't realize how long Florida is.
Yeah.
Until you go down to like the Orlando or Miami area.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah.
The state never ends.
Yeah.
And if you're anywhere traveling, you would always say Alabama never ends.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for everybody on east of the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
On the west, then you're saying Texas. But
I was going to say Texas.
It's a long state.
Yes.
Texas it took us, we were in the very southern tip of Texas. It took the same amount of time to get to the northern tip of Texas as it did to get from there to Indiana.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just as wide.
Yeah. Yeah. When you drive across the top of Texas, it's amazing how you my son he's in the Air Force. He's actually a firefighter. I mentioned firefighters earlier. He's a firefighter in the Air Force, been there 16 years, and he was in Texas for training of some type.
Yeah, they're training camps.
Yeah. Well, he graduated at Lackland, but he was going back there to another area for some other kind of special training. And I was talking to him on the phone, and I said, "How long have you been on the road?" He goes, "Well, I've been in Texas for I don't know. It was at that point 45 minutes or an hour and stuff like that." I was talking to him, and he was still 30 minutes later and stuff like that. He said, "I have another umpteen miles to go in Texas still."
It's unbelievable.
Holy cow! Yeah.
It is. It's a big state.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so I do have a question.
Okay.
So a little birdie told me you're on the board of what is it? The New Life with Limbs.
New Life with Limbs. Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. New Life with Limbs. Actually, a buddy of mine, James Goff, owns a prosthetic company down in downtown Indianapolis, down on Meridian Street. And about 10 years ago, he wanted to go to third world countries to do prosthetics. And so he started a company called New Life with Limbs. It's a nonprofit. And New Life with Limbs went to Haiti. They've been to Sierra Leone over in Africa. And then in 2020, everything was shut down, couldn't do anything. And then we were looking for some place to go. Sierra Leone was not safe to go to. And so because of another friend, we ended up in the Dominican. And at that point, I joined him on that trip, and I fell in love with the mission. It's just beautiful. But we go over there. I'm actually leaving next month for it'll be my fourth trip. We have a pastor over there we work with, people that are missing usually legs. A lot of them, some of them from accidents, moped accidents and those kind of things, motorcycle accidents. But a lot of it is health, like diabetes and that kind of thing too. So, but we work with the pastor over there to get names of people. And we usually, within a visit, we see about 50 to 60 people. And we put legs and arms on them.
Wow, that's awesome.
It is amazing. I tell you, the first time I went over there, I mean, I watched a guy come in a wheelchair, missing a leg, and that same day he walked out of there, and I was hooked. That's just, it's like a miracle kind of level, you know? So
think what that does for them. I mean, means to them.
You should see their face. I mean, they just light up because they have a new lease on life.
Yes.
I mean, the New Life with Limbs is really what it is. It's a new life for them. And so to experience that, I was hooked. And then he asked me if I would be on the board. And so I'm actually president of the board.
Oh, really?
Yep. And then doing all kinds of fun things. Luckily, I've learned how through my board to do golf outings and those kind of things, because I sit on the board for Southside, my board. And so I just put my first golf outing fundraiser together this last year, and going to be doing another one to raise some money for it. So
I was wondering, how do you, other than golf outings, how else do you guys raise money for?
Yeah, just general donations and reaching out to different people. The golf outing was a big one. And then last year, and we'll probably do again in this fall, we did a variety show where we did one of my clients actually is a amazing magician. And so he came and did hit that. And then we had a couple of different people come sing. And then the one pastor who connected us to the Dominican is a comedian. So a clean comedian. And so he's got some friends too. And so we had a variety show and we raised money doing that too. So
Awesome.
Those are our two biggest events. And we are talking about doing a 5K coming up maybe in 25 too. So.
Well,
Okay.
Sounds like if you need a dancer, we've got Ian.
The variety show.
Yeah, for the variety show. There you go.
I've got you slotted.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So now we're going to take a second. What's the best number somebody can reach you at?
Best phone number ever for the last 30 years. 317-590-7944.
All right. You said that for 30 years? There's no way that cell phone number's been around for 30 years.
It has.
Has it?
It has, yeah. Well, you know what? Let me back up. Probably 28.
28.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I didn't have, you're right. You're right. I was thinking that when I first joined, they didn't have the cell phones around at all. It was probably about 2-3 years later. So you're right. So 27 years. That's a long time to have a phone number, though.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. I've had my cell number the same. It's got to be near that. I got it when I was working for the builder.
Okay.
So it's well over 24 years. I just don't know
mine's
how long
21. I got mine in 03, freshman year of college.
Okay.
And still the same one. And it's interesting because the jobs I've had and stuff like that, especially cars, I've gotten where people call me and goes, "Hey, are you still in the car industry?" I'm like, "No, I've been out for a couple of years." They're like, "Oh, I'm looking for a car." I'm like, "Well, let me see what I can do to help you out." So it's weird, but still people still call.
Yeah. But they might need a mortgage.
Hey,
right?
that always comes up and follows in the end.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I just want to point out that the reason he can remember his phone number is he had it for almost 30 years. Okay. So it's not my problem with my memory. If he's had it for so long that he can't possibly forget it. But if you want to get a hold of Ian or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. I don't tend to forget that one. No. Hardworkingmortgageguys.com. Or you can call 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938.
All right. Before I get to the question of the week, I got a good one for you.
Okay.
So what would you consider one of your most memorable stories or transactions?
Wow. Can I do the most bizarre?
Yes. We love
yes. No.
You know how, well, I had and these are actually good friends of mine, and we were going to show them a house. The listing agent did not tell us that there was a cat in the house. And so when we got there, this cat greeted us with this most evil, back-raising kind of like growl, if you will, of a cat. And you know how dogs, when they want to scratch their behind, they kind of go across the carpet or whatever stuff. This cat decided to do that position, but as it went across the carpet, it was leaving a streak. And and it was evil. And we literally like closed the door and left. I never even knew a cat did that, let alone make a mess while it's doing it. Yeah, that was one of my most bizarre ones. So yeah. Probably my most memorable ones was one I was sharing earlier, where I had a great couple, had their house listed right before I did my mission trip. And while I was there, they called me up and said, "Hey, I think we got somebody that's interested in that." And their parents live next door. So one of my agents helped me out and went and showed it to them and stuff. And I ended up having both sides of it while I was in the Dominican. And that story right there, and they both are, matter of fact, I bumped into the sellers down at the dentist just last week. And and they're just elated, and both sides are just wonderful, and they even talk with one another and stuff. So
that's nice.
So the funny thing is, I'm about to ask you who bought that house, but you said they didn't end up doing it. But because what happened is my parents were at closing for their house, and the owner told them, "Hey, look, there might be a cat there. I think my ex-wife just left it there. We haven't been there for a couple of weeks. You might want to check." My parents were livid. They hurry up and signed, drove to the, got food, got water, and hurry up and got to the house and found the cat there.
Inside
in the house. And then they kept the cat.
Wow.
So the cat, then they just said that until the cat passed, it was a cat house until once it passed, then it became their home. But
that has a different connotation with it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah. His parents are a little,
Okay.
I mean, So you had the question of the week.
Yes.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
This will be the hardest question.
Oh, okay.
What was your first car?
A 65 Ford Falcon.
Wow.
It was actually left to me from my grandmother. So I had it at 14, I think.
Wow.
So yeah, I may or may not have drove it before I had my license to deliver newspapers.
I'm sure you didn't.
No.
I mean, none of us would do something like
Yeah,
that.
no.
What size motor did it have?
You know, it was like a 170 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 165. It was small.
Little-
There was so much room in the doghouse that you could crawl on either side of it through it. I mean, it just was
Okay, yeah.
this little engine in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had big dreams.
Yeah.
If I were to want to get a car, you know, like what's my car to get down the road would be to get another 65 Ford Falcon and fix it up the way my dreams were back when I was a kid. So, yeah.
So what color was it?
It was a gray. And before I was done with it, it was the, what's that? Primer,
Okay.
burgundy.
Well, you got it primed.
I was heading to the, yes.
What color were you heading to?
I was candy apple red.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was popular
It was
in
popular.
the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Candy apple red was
Yeah.
a very, very popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's been your favorite car that you ever had? Or was that it?
It probably was it. I mean, I've had a lot of different cars. I had a little Chevy Chevette. It was a 2-door with a 4-speed. And I think most people didn't know that a 4-cylinder could go that fast. I kind of was, it was like I was driving for the, what was the movie with all the Coopers, little Cooper.
Oh, the
Italian Job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of felt like I was on a chase with Italian Job when I would drive that thing. It was a lot of fun. But
it's funny how little cars can be a lot of fun to drive.
It can. It had a rusted out floorboard, but there was carpet over there still. And so you know how you get the little pebbles from the bottom of your shoes?
Yep.
So those would be on the floor, and I would be driving, and when I saw a puddle, I knew what would happen. So I would go through a puddle, and it would smack the bottom of the car and pop all these pebbles and stuff up in the air, and it would, shower my passenger. It was a lot of fun.
You don't have that car anymore?
I don't. Yeah.
So there is one thing I've learned. He has a lead foot.
I do. Guilty as charged.
Yeah.
There was a reason why I don't have any of my real estate stuff on my vehicle.
Yep.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I look at people who do that. It's like, there's no way I could do that.
Yeah.
You cut me off.
I'm so much better than I used to be.
We've gotten older. We're a lot mellow.
Not speed wise. I'm just like a little bit more patient. My wife has been working on me. So
Has she?
yeah. Oh yeah.
She might want to talk to my wife, and maybe she can help my wife learn to help me get some
Help you get there. Yeah.
I struggle with that sometimes.
I listen to softer music. It kind of mellows me out in the car.
Okay.
Because if I put something on like an AC/DC and then something that's driving, my foot drives to.
Okay. So I should quit listening to rap.
No, you should drive with that.
It's like when you leave the movie theater, you watch like a Fast and Furious movie or Italian Job, and then you get out and you're like, oh, I can race my car. Let's go.
Yeah. I didn't used to be a NASCAR fan, so I'd watch a lot of NASCAR. And so I thought drafting was normal on the highway. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you see a lot of people think that driving a car on the road is the same as racing, and
Right.
it's completely different
It
because
is.
those guys actually know what they're doing.
that's true.
Hey.
That's true.
465 drafting is legal.
It is legal, isn't it? Yeah. And it's a loop, just like a big round.
See?
So yeah.
Yeah. I had to drive on that today because I had car problems. And there was actually a state trooper sitting there. I mean, it's ridiculously cold, and he's sitting there monitoring traffic, which shocked me. I never,
Wow.
and everybody, I couldn't understand why everybody was going 55. And that's why. 'Cause
Well, that was his whole purpose. You probably wouldn't have pulled anybody over.
he probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Just trying to slow them down.
It's way too cold to get out there. So what is there something that in your business that you're really proud of or excited about?
My business is probably 90% a referral. And I love the fact that I just have that much repeat business. And so it just makes me feel good. It's a compliment to me.
Yeah, it says a lot
that
about
I've
you.
done. Yeah. And that, or that somebody would refer me. So yeah, that's probably something I'm most proud about. I've won an award called the 5-Star Professional Award for 12 years in a row. And I enjoy that one because it is based off of surveys to affiliates and past clients. So it's not just an award because you hit numbers or whatever. That numbers has never really driven me as far as awards. And matter of fact, I never really you won't find those anything like that on my stuff, but that one there I'm proud of just because of who is surveyed to help me win that. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. So you have the Harrington home team, right? With
Correct.
FC Tucker.
Yeah.
So when you're hiring somebody for your team, what do you look for?
So funny thing, Harrington home team has always been just me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You look for him.
I work for yeah. I do have an assistant that works for me part-time. Does all the administrative stuff that I know I'm not good at. But it's always been me, and I looked at it as a team is the mortgage people I'm working with, my title people that I work with, and the different list of inspectors and those kind of things. And so collectively, hopefully giving them a good experience, and it's like it's teamwork because we're all kind of working for hopefully the same goal. I have just as of this year, I did hire someone on for my team that's a young man, and so your question was what I look for.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's like an answer to prayer after like 4 or 5 years. I've just been trying to find the right person. I was looking for someone that would be similar to me in faith and passion for people. What was important to them was not just making money. And so those are probably the big things. A learner, someone that's willing to listen and actually implement that. It seems like so many people are distracted so easily today. And so to find someone that will actually listen and then implement some of the things that you're saying, because I've been doing it for 30 years, I figure I got something to give. And so it'd be nice to have someone that actually would listen and take that stuff to heart.
Yeah. I like when you talk, you're like, look, the money doesn't matter. You take care of people. And that's been Rick and our philosophy from the get-go is, look, if you just take care of people, the money will come.
Absolutely.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Just take care of people.
Yeah. One of my when I have newer agents in my office that'll come around and stuff, and they might ask me like any advice or whatever, and I always tell them to treat it like a job, show up every day. I feel like you need to have an office to come to. If you're just someone that's working out of their home all the time, I think it's very hard to be connected enough to be really successful. But that might be old school. But the other one is just do the right thing, and you'll never go wrong. And so if you're always doing the right thing, not looking for money, just how you can take care of those people, you'll always be successful.
Yeah, I have found, I'm very much like what you're saying. I found that for me, I have to come into the office. Mm-hmm. I can't work. I can work at home a little bit, and the weekends I have a space where I can go do things, which is really nice. But for me to focus, the problem I find people have is if they are working from home and if they have something they have to do, they do it. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you have calls you really should make, but something else comes up or you go and you just don't focus on your job like you do when you go in. Some people do. We've had people who have no problem doing it. Yeah. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm not that disciplined. So for me, it's just not a good fit for me.
Well, especially if you're a newer agent, I think there's so much you can learn from being in the office.
Yes.
From listening to other people or listening to conversations or having somebody right there that you can ask a question for, or two. And so I think there's an element that is missing in this business of people learning because everybody's trying to work remotely.
Yeah. So what's one thing that you wish you'd been told or you'd learned right from the start that took you maybe a while to learn? It's a tough one.
That is a tough one, actually. I don't know if I've ever really thought about that. I would think that some of the stuff I just said, because it took me a while to learn that, that if you just keep showing up every day and working hard, that's all you got to do and you'll be successful, that you're treating it like a job. Some of those things that I learned along the way, I think it would have been good for people to say that earlier. Doing the right thing has never been, that's just at the core of who I am. I'll be glad that if I had to give up a commission to make some stuff right, I'm going to do that. So, but knowing that if I had to do some of those things just to do the right thing and that I'm still going to be okay, that probably would have been good to hear too.
Yeah. It's tough because when you're new, you're really trying so hard, and the money is a little more important to you when you're brand new sometimes. And it's hard to realize that you're better off just saying, okay, it's all going to work out. One thing, I don't know about you, but when I look back at my career, it all works out.
It does.
Somehow, some way.
It does.
You lose a job, or you aren't happy where you're at. And the next thing you know, you're at some place you love.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and I struggle, it sounds like you did too, with patience.
Yes.
And if you just have patience, it's amazing what will work out for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I have learned in life, this is one of those life lessons. And again, this is more of a spiritual element, but there's this thing called patiently prayerful, where, if I want something, desire something, if I made it work in my own power, I could make it work and it would work out. But if I've been patient and just kind of praying about it and being patient, then it will be not only provided, but it's better than I could have done. And that's happened to me so many times, whether it be from my wife to my home that I have, to the vehicle I have, whatever it's been, it always works out if I'm just patient.
Yeah. Takes patience.
It does.
And that's not easy for us.
It's hard,
especially in this. I do a lot of reading and listening to podcasts, and it's amazing all this everybody talks about, how little patience we have in today's world.
Yes.
And how little of it, what you talked about was just, you focus on your client. That's something that is vitally important. People don't feel like they're heard today, because while you're talking to them, they're looking at their phone. You just have to pay attention to people.
Yeah. Yeah. Younger people, when you said that, one of the things that I encourage people to do, like when they go, if you look at my phone, it's upside down here on this desk. And it's like when you go out to eat with somebody, especially if you're with your wife, you better not even have it around, but just to turn it upside down. So that way that the little notifications and stuff are not grabbing your attention. Right. I think we are so ADHD, is that what it is? Whatever. Mm-hmm. On a lot of those things. I don't have sound. I don't have my sound on my phone. I don't have sound on my computer. I think that ding is it's evil, because it distracts you. We're not made to multi-focus, right?
Right.
It's like when someone says, I'm a good multitasker. It's like going, your brain just switches back and forth easy, because we can't do things at the same time.
They've done studies on it, and there is no such thing as multitasking.
No.
And when you switch, and then you switch back, you don't start in the same place that you stop. No. That's another problem. And multitasking is kind of a misnomer. It's not really true.
It is. Yeah.
From what I read.
Yeah. And I think the dinging of the phones and the computers are the same way, because no matter if you do it or not, it distracts you. It takes you off from your focus.
You could be having a conversation, and as soon as you hear that ding, you'd be like, wait, is that a customer that just called me? What are they doing? Yeah. And you're trying to have a conversation, let's say with your wife or something, but your mind is there and not here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So. And then now they got the watches on.
Oh yeah.
So even if you had it silent, you have something that's like, it's almost like having a taser around your neck, because it's got this irritating, distracting kind of thing going all the time. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, the funniest thing is there's actually a thing called phantom vibration. Oh. And it's when you have your phone in your pocket and you just think it's going off.
Oh yeah.
Every little thing, like you just regular walking, you don't feel a thing, but your mind says, "Oh, you got to hurry up and check your phone. You got to hurry up and check your phone." It's crazy, because then somebody told me that, and I was like, wait, let me see. So then I start trying. I'm like, wait, I did. You do sense that, and it's just weird.
Yeah. So when you said, you were asking a question earlier about if I didn't have my phone for 24 hours, I'm like, that's heaven.
Yes.
Because there's nothing except for someone dying that would be that important, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why I have voicemail. That's one of the things I tell people. You have voicemail for a reason, right. Or they can text you and it'll be there, right? And so it's not like rocket science where something's going to blow up if we don't respond right away and stuff. So,
we're not a doctor where if we don't get to the hospital and save their life, that there's nothing that's that important.
What's your favorite quote about phones?
My favorite quote?
Yep.
I don't know. What is my favorite quote?
Well, my phone's always available.
Yeah, that's right. That is.
You can always leave a message or a text message.
Amen to that. I like that.
Yeah. My phone's always available. I'm not, but my phone.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I do the same thing as you. I do have an Apple Watch, but I leave my phone on silent. Yeah. And the Apple Watch has done wonders for me because I leave my phone on silent. It never rings. It never dings. It never does anything. The watch may sometimes gets a little irritating when it vibrates because it's on silent too. But I find it's much because really I can't actually read it because I can't see well enough to read the small anymore. So I never look at it even when it goes off.
Then why do you have it?
Because now I know I got a message. So when I get done, I can then go see what's there.
Gotcha.
But it says, I mean, for me, everybody's a little different. Once I got rid of the sound of my phone, it's done wonders for me.
Yeah. You talk about I don't know, it's almost like a piece that's been not claimed back. You know, like your piece was robbed and now you're claiming it back. Yeah. Even my phone at nighttime, I plug it into I have a small office at my home and my phone gets in there. It's not in my bedroom. So I can't hear any vibration or anything.
Mine stays downstairs.
Yeah.
And my phone stops probably earlier than most people would want it to, but I have to go to bed. I get up very early and I have to go to bed. So my phone stops going at 8 o'clock at the latest.
Yeah.
And I just don't answer. It's cost me deals once in a while because somebody doesn't have they don't wait and they do something. But if I don't have my sleep, what good is it? It's, sleep is vitally important for our lives.
You just said something that reminded me, going back to that question about like if somebody would have told me this earlier on, and that is that it's okay to not get some deals. And I've had some times where it was something I was kind of like, why didn't I get that? And I look at those as like going, you know what? I probably shouldn't have had that one anyway, for whatever reason, because we're not supposed to have everything.
Yeah. It goes to exactly what we said. It always works out.
It does.
It always works out. And for me, I take it where I want to take care of people just like you do. And I want to take care of them. And so when I can't do that, that's bad. But the reality to me is you have to learn by what happens, right? And so these people do that. So then it's like, okay, the problem is nobody should be calling you at 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night to get a pre-approval on a house they just saw.
Yeah. Yeah.
That should have been done long before then.
Yeah.
Because if there is any issues, you're going to issue a pre-approval that's no good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
You need time and you need to do it correctly. My belief is you need to have it underwritten. That's the very best. You underwrite them so that when you give a pre-approval, it's underwritten.
Yeah.
Now you have hardly anything to wait on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you can't do that at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You can't do that on the weekend. So you should be doing that ahead of time.
Absolutely.
And I don't understand why people don't do that. Do it ahead of time. Be prepared.
Is a lot of times the reason because maybe they haven't been educated enough by their agent to say, no, you need to get this done now so we know exactly.
I think it definitely.
I'll answer this question.
Okay.
Because when I first started searching for homes, I did the same exact thing. I was like, all right, my wife and I wanted to get a house. So what we did is we got online, found an agent. I mean, we didn't know anybody, so we just found one online. And it was like, all right, she seems nice. Let's call her. We did it, and we let's show houses. Now, she would have said, hey, your first step is to get pre-approved. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't, and maybe she thought we already were or whatnot, but we had no clue. I mean, I know some people go to ask a bunch of questions, or we were just like, hey, look, we're tire written. Let's go buy.
Yeah. And
so we went out and looked at houses. She goes, well, how much are you approved to? And I'm like, we haven't. What do you mean? And I go, I know we can. We have great credit. We have money down. We're, all that stuff. And she goes, oh no, you got to go talk to a mortgage person first and I'm like, oh. And so so we looked at 4 houses that day or something like that. So before that conversation even happened.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but you weren't ready to make an offer.
Well, we could have, but
but you can't make an offer without a pre-approval.
No, you cannot.
Yeah,
and it's just vitally important. I wanted to bring it up because it's one of those things that it's like people need to know.
Yeah,
you don't wait. You get pre-approved ahead of time.
Yeah,
the better, the more time, and not too early. There's timing. It's not. And so I have people call me. It's like, well, we're not going to buy for 6 months. Well, then this is the wrong time unless you have issues. Then we want to fix them. But otherwise, you got to wait.
Yeah.
But you don't wait until you find a house. You want to do it several weeks before you go looking for a house. And my opinion is you want it underwritten. So you need to leave, a few extra days. It takes about worst case, probably 5 days to get an approval with an underwriter. And I say that because if somebody's self-employed, things like that, it takes a little longer than somebody who's not. But that's vitally important.
Yeah. Well, and I'm telling them that as their representative, as a buyer's agent, that I need to know not only if they're qualified, but what kind of loan they need. Do they need some assistance and help? There's a lot of things within the purchase agreement that I need to know ahead of time,
right,
to be able to properly represent them. And so I kind of use that as this is why this is important.
Yeah, and come up with strategies.
Yeah,
is it the right thing to get the seller to do a seller buy down, or is it what's the best strategy?
Yeah,
you can take somebody on a permanent buy down. You can take somebody with a little extra, they can get a little money from the seller, and they can buy more house and have the same payment by using some points. But they need to know that. They need to be taught that. They need to be shown that. And you can't do that an hour before you have to put a pre-approval letter together. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I'll get off my high horse.
All right. Well, since you guys went on that tangent, but Don, I want all these people, you have wealth and knowledge, and you know what you're doing out there. I mean, you've only been doing it for only 30 years. I mean, goodness. When you get 35 years, come on.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, let's hope you get to 35 years.
Okay.
If somebody wants to talk real estate with you, whether it's either buying or selling their home, or they just have questions, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Yep. They can call or text me at 317-590-7944. Or they can reach out to me through my website at don@donsolme.com or email me at don@donsolme.com. Did I say that wrong?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have a don at on your website. So,
correct.
Yeah. Website is donsolme.com and email don@donsolme.com. Yeah. There you go.
And to get a hold of BNRI, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. Or you can give us a call at 317-672-1938. It's 317-672-1938. And please follow us for more Indy's Real Estate Gurus. Don't want you to miss any of the shows.
Yep. And a reminder, if you have any friends, family, coworkers looking to buy, sell, or refinance, let us know. We'll be more than happy to help you. Don, thank you for joining us on our show. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Branch NMLS number 33041. Rick Ripma's NMLS number 6645890. Ian Arnold's NMLS number is 1995469. Equal housing opportunity. Some restrictions apply.